This information is presented by Bluewater Auto Restoration.
Welcome back. This is week 46 of the 2025 Bluewater Auto Restoration Podcast. We release new deep dives every Saturday morning, and today, well, we're grabbing our timing light and our vacuum gauge. We're diving headfirst into the precision mechanics of classic engines. Our mission today, a deep dive into engine tuning secrets, getting the most out of a classic engine.
It sounds like a great topic. We're really looking at that pre-OBD era, aren't we? You know, back when tuning was much more of a hands-on, tactile skill. So you've got a vintage American V8 or maybe a classic British sports car, anything before computers took over. Well, this is for you.
Yeah, I think anyone who loves classic cars knows the difference. That difference between an engine that's just frustrating, always coughing or sputtering, versus one that just, fires right up, idles perfectly smooth, and pulls strong. Absolutely. And 99% of the time, that difference really boils down to the quality of the tune. And look, we're not just talking about chasing some big horsepower number here. The goal today is really about actionable insights. How do you get better reliability? How do you get much better drivability, especially around town? And yeah, even getting some decent fuel efficiency gains, it's finding that sweet spot, that balance.
Right, so it's not just throwing bigger parts at it. It's about really understanding how to get peak combustion efficiency through, well, precision adjustments. Let's figure out where that efficiency is hiding.
Okay, so first, let's define what we actually mean by engine tuning for these older cars. It's not just one single thing. It's really about optimizing several systems at once. We're talking air-fuel mixture, we're talking ignition timing, and the mechanical systems themselves. The end goal is always the cleanest, most efficient burn possible inside that cylinder, reliably across the whole RPM range.
Yeah. Okay, that sounds, well, it sounds like a lot to juggle. But I guess if we break it down into the core areas, it makes more sense. Let's maybe unpack those fundamental pillars we need to focus on. Because if you miss one, you're leaving performance on the table, right?
Exactly. Think of them as maybe 5 essential systems. They all have to work together perfectly. So pillar number 1, fuel delivery. For these classic engines, that means manually controlling fuel, usually with carburetors, sometimes mechanical fuel injection. The big challenge is getting that mixture right everywhere: idle, cruising speed, and then wide open throttle.
Okay, fuel first. Then comes the spark, right?
Yeah.
The ignition system. This is delivering that spark at precisely the right moment. So here we're talking distributor advance, curves, the mechanical weights, the vacuum advance, and things like dual angle for the coil, and just making sure the spark itself is strong enough.
Perfect. Then number 3, and this one's maybe less accessible for quick weekend tuning, is valve timing. This is purely mechanical. It's the camshaft profile itself, the lifter clearance settings, and crucially, making sure that timing chain is aligned perfectly. This controls the engine's breathing when the valves open and close.
Right, the mechanical heart of it. And then compression and combustion. This gets into the engine's internal shape and condition, like piston shape, compression ratio, and how stuff like carbon buildup can actually mess things up.
Yeah, exactly. Carbon buildup is a sneaky one. It can cause all sorts of problems, especially knock. We'll get into that. And finally, number 5, exhaust and intake flow. Once you've burned the fuel, you've got to get those exhaust gases out efficiently. It's about minimizing restriction, but also creating what we call balanced scavenging, using the exhaust flow itself to help pull the next charge in. Getting all 5 of these working in harmony, that's the key.
Okay, that framework definitely helps. Makes it feel less like black magic and more like managing systems methodically. All right, let's dive into the carburetor then, because that's where a lot of owners spend time and sometimes, get pretty frustrated. What are the common units people are likely dealing with?
Sure. In the U.S. market, you see a ton of Rochester Quadrajets, the Q-Jet, famous for those small primaries for economy, and then huge secondaries for power. Very clever design. Then you've got the Holley 4150 and 4160 series, super popular for tuning because they're so modular, you can change almost anything.
Yeah, the Holleys are like Lego for engines.
Yeah.
And the Carter AFB, that became the Edelbrock Performer, right?
Yeah.
Those seem a bit simpler with the metering rods instead of jets. And for imports of sports cars, you often run into those beautiful Weber DCOE side drafts. Temperamental, but gorgeous.
Right. But the underlying principle is the same for all of them. Control fuel based on what the engine needs. Let's look at the key adjustment points. Starting at idle, you've got the idle mixture screws. These control that fuel ratio right off the line. Absolutely critical for a smooth idle. If it stumbles when you pull away, check these first.
Okay, idle screws. Then as you open the throttle more, the main jets come into play.
Exactly. These little brass orifices control your main cruising fuel mixture. If the car feels kind of flat or weak cruising at, say, 45, 50 mil per hour, your main jets might be off.
And what about when you really step on it? That's the power valve or enrichment circuit.
Precisely. The power valve senses engine load by looking at manifold vacuum. When vacuum drops low, like when you floor it, it opens up and adds extra fuel. If that valve is wrong or stuck, you could run dangerously lean under load, which is bad. Or it might dump fuel in all the time, running way too rich.
And that hesitation when you quickly jab the throttle, that's the accelerator pump.
Right. Yes. Crucial for drivability. When you snap the throttle open, air rushes in fast, leaning things out instantly. The accelerator pump gives a quick squirt of raw fuel to cover that momentary lean spot and prevent that bog or stumble. The timing and volume of that shot are adjustable.
Okay, and one more. The float level. Seems like a small detail, but you're saying it's critical.
Oh, absolutely vital. The float level sets the fuel pressure, essentially, inside the carburetor bowl feeding the jets. Too low, and you can starve the jets under hard acceleration or cornering. Fuel sloshes away. Too high, and fuel can actually slosh over into the engine, causing a rich condition even when you don't want it. It needs to be set accurately.
I've heard stories about people setting float levels just by, like, blowing into the fuel line. Is that real?
Yeah, definitely folklore. You can check if the needle and seat are sealing that way, maybe. But actually setting the level, no way. That needs a precise measurement, usually with a ruler or a sight plug, depending on the carb. It has to be accurate down to fractions of an inch. Blowing into it is just guesswork.
Okay, good to know. Let's do some rapid-fire troubleshooting then. Someone has a rough idle, mixture screws aren't fixing it. What's next?
90% of the time, that points to a vacuum leak. Unmetered air getting in after the carburetor. That makes the engine run super lean and idle. Check every single hose, gasket, the PCV valve, brake booster line. Find the leak. Twiddling screws won't fix it.
Got it. And if you see black smoke coming out the tailpipe?
That's raw, unburnt fuel. Classic sign of running way too rich. First check is the choke. Is it stuck, closed, or opening too slowly? If the choke is okay, then you need to look at reducing the size of your main jets, or maybe check if the power valve is stuck open.
Okay, and the scary one, that rattling noise under acceleration, pinging or knock.
Yeah, that's detonation or pre-ignition. The fuel mixture is exploding spontaneously, not burning smoothly from the spark plug. Very destructive. Usually caused by either running too lean, which makes things too hot, or the timing being too far advanced. You need to act fast, rich in the mixture immediately, maybe go up a jet size, and definitely pull some timing out, retard it by a few degrees right away.
You mentioned modern tools earlier. The wideband ORO sensor seems like a big one, even for old cars.
It's a game changer, honestly. You install the sensor in the exhaust, and it gives you a real-time digital readout of the actual air-fuel ratio, AFR. You simply cannot accurately tune jets and power valves, especially under load, without knowing the AFR. Trying to do it by reading spark plugs is okay, but it's nowhere near as precise. It's like tuning blind versus having night vision.
Right, and the classic vacuum gauge. Still useful.
Oh, indispensable. It plugs into manifold vacuum and tells you so much. A nice, steady needle reading, ideally around 15 to 20 inches of mercury at idle on a healthy stock engine, indicates good sealing and stable operation. If that needle is bouncing wildly, it points to problems, maybe a valve not sealing, bad rings, or inconsistent ignition timing. It's a fantastic diagnostic tool. Okay, so we've covered fuel. Now let's talk about delivering the spark at the right time, the ignition system. The basic parts are familiar: points, condenser, coil, distributor, plugs, wires. It's all about creating and timing that spark precisely relative to piston position.
And that timing needs to change based on engine speed and load. Right? That's where the distributor's advanced mechanisms come in. You've got the mechanical weight spinning faster with RPM and a vacuum diaphragm sensing engine load.
Exactly. And when we talk tuning, there are two key timing numbers you absolutely have to understand: initial timing and total timing.
Okay, initial timing. That's the base setting at idle, yeah. Usually something like 8 to 12 degrees before top dead center, or BTDC. You set this with the vacuum advanced disconnected and plugged, using a timing light.
Correct. That's your starting point. But the really critical number for performance and engine health is total timing. This is your initial timing plus all the advance added by those mechanical weights inside the distributor as RPMs increase. For most classic V8s, like a small block Chevy or Ford, you're generally shooting for somewhere in the 32 to 36 degrees total advance range. And you want that all in, usually by around 3,000 RPM or so. Go much past 36 degrees and you're really risking detonation damage.
Okay, 32 to 36 total. All in by 3,000 RPM. Got it. Now, for folks still running points, what about dwell angle? Why does that matter?
Dwell is all about coil saturation time. The points act like a switch. When they're closed, current flows into the coil, building up a magnetic field. The dwell angle is simply how long, in degrees of distributor rotation, those points stay closed. Too little dwell, points gap too wide, and the coil doesn't get fully charged, especially at high RPM, leading to a weak spark. Too much dwell, points gap too narrow, and the coil might overheat or the points might arc and burn out faster. It needs to be set correctly with a dwell meter.
Makes sense. I imagine upgrading from points is a pretty common recommendation for reliability.
Oh, absolutely. It's one of the best reliability upgrades you can make. Electronic ignition conversions, like the Protronics igniter, are popular because they fit right inside the stock distributor cap, look original but eliminate the points and condenser entirely. Or you can go for a full high-energy ignition, HEI, distributor swap, or an MSD system, which gives you a much hotter, more powerful spark, too.
And you can also get adjustable vacuum advance units. How does that help for, say, a car that sees a lot of street driving?
That helps dial in your part throttle cruising. The vacuum advance adds extra timing when engine load is low, high vacuum, which boosts fuel economy and helps the engine run cooler during cruise. Factory units have a fixed amount of advance. An adjustable one lets you fine-tune exactly how much vacuum advance you get and when it comes in. It lets you optimize that light load timing for better efficiency without causing pinging.
Tools for this job. A timing light is a must. Why is a dial-back timing light better than a basic one?
A dial-back light makes checking total timing way easier. A basic light just flashes when cylinder #1 fires, so you read the timing mark against the pointer on the engine. To see total timing, you'd have to rev the engine up to 3,000 plus RPM and try to read the mark way up the scale, or you'd have to mark your balancer extensively. With the dial-back light, you rev the engine, turn the dial on the light to, say, 36 degrees. The light adjusts its flash timing. When the 0-degree mark on your balancer lines up with the pointer again, you know you've hit exactly 36 degrees total. Much more accurate and convenient. All right, so we've got fuel delivery and ignition timing sorted. The result of getting those right is the correct air-fuel ratio, or AFR. This ratio is fundamental to power, engine heat,